out of all the rookies this season, aside from Paolo, who has just been ungodly, he is special. Benedict Mathurin on the Pacers has impressed a lot of people, myself included. He's been really solid, and I think he is worth some examination because I think the circumstances around his play and his development are really interesting and worth discussing, and definitely way more complex than just his raw, unbelievable box score numbers. He is killing on these like off-ball corner dribble handoff pin plays. This is where he is making his money and where he is already really great. The finishing is the most notable thing to me, as when he's getting downhill, he has been so good finishing through contact. That's Bam Adebayo, one of the better defenders in the league, and Mathurin's able to muscle through him midair and finish with his offhand. Obviously, those little pin corner actions have been great for his shooting, which is elite already. Shooting like 43% from three already on super high volume. These off-ball shots are obviously his bread and butter, but Mathurin has been shooting like 50, I believe exactly 50% from on pull-up threes as I'm recording this, 9 for 18. And he's just been a guy who you cannot like give any space anywhere. Livers is afraid of his drive. He backs off, and Mathurin cans a three in his face. And then those same kind of motion DHO actions have enabled some passing flashes as well, where Mathurin's able to, again, have an advantage created for him by the dribble handoff, get downhill, force a 2-on-1, and make a simple little drop-off pass for an assist. But my big questions are, what happens when that structure evaporates? Obviously, the Pacers are like a really bad team and can afford to give him kind of anything he wants, which is really good for him and his development. But what happens outside of that motion structure is, to me, the biggest development point for Mathurin. He has been unbelievable at the rim. Again, like he is shooting 71% within 3 feet, which is like pretty ridiculous, especially for a guard. And it feels like everything is going in. And like huge testament to him for having the touch and the ability to make shots like this, where it just feels like all of these weird angle, off balance touch shots are just falling. But I question how sustainable that is, given he wasn't an incredible finisher in college or before college, and just the level of difficulty of a lot of the shots he's getting is so high. And as I mentioned, once he leaves that structure of dribble handoff, motion pin, and especially is forced to isolate or run pick and rolls, he has definitely struggled to create his own good offense. He is very prone to getting like tied up and stuck like this. Mathurin has Nick Claxton on a switch, who is a good defender, but is a big, and he's just not really creative with his handle or his ability to, use counters or pull up for a jumper yet. This happens like pretty frequently. Again, I'm gonna have 3 examples of this. Two against Nick Claxton, where he's just gonna get tied up again. He's reliant on just going into the chest and trying to finish strong. But if there's a defender with great hands or someone who can take advantage of his ball control issues, then those are big issues. And then those present problems for Mathurin creating on drives as well when he's asked to do more of more primary kind of stuff. Again, we see Mathurin not able to get an advantage. This is just kind of a questionable decision here, driving right into the help, especially off like a really good defender. When there's no real intention to cross or spin back or kick out, and he's just stuck and ends up throwing up a bad shot that gets tied up. And these were issues that were present in college, but have definitely improved, I would say. Like, as we saw with the first couple plays, he's way better with his ball control, where in college at Arizona, he was so prone to losing the ball at basically any opportunity, like falling over, losing his balance, losing advantages, even ones created for him off the ball. Like when help came, this is some of the stuff with getting tied up. And it's good that he's not losing the ball, but really susceptible to like digs and stuff, and just kind of sloppy overall with the ball in his hands. And some of those concerns have definitely reared their head. But obviously he has been incredible regardless. As I mentioned, the touch is awesome. I really enjoyed this drive where he's able to kind of snake through with really impressive footwork. I think I think it was Caitlin Cooper, posted like, incredible that from this position he's able to score. And I really like him using these long snaking steps to get around this defender rather than going through him and getting to a spot where he can, again, finish with crazy touch because he's falling over like clothesline there. He is prone to pick up really early because of his weak handle, and that is something we'll talk about more later. He's just not comfortable keeping the dribble alive yet. So he's forced into a lot of these really tough finishes, which, as we said, have been working. Another question is, how is that passing going to develop outside of the very basic like motion structure? The majority of Mathurin's on-ball passing reps look more like this, where Mathurin kind of just lobs it up aimlessly. If he throws a bounce pass here, this is probably a bucket, but the lob is, aimless. The timing isn't really great. And even when he's, on these kind of off-ball drives, he's prone to missing reads. Like McConnell's wide open on the cut, and Mathurin doesn't find him and takes a really tough shot over Kevin Durant. And here's another play where I mentioned like the early pickup, where Mathurin, if he like takes another dribble here, he might be able to find the corner shooter. This is obviously a very difficult pass, and I'm not expecting Mathurin to make this pass. But if Mathurin doesn't pick up at the elbow, he has an advantage here. If he holds his dribble, maybe gets to right here, and then he can make this pass or get an easier shot closer to the rim. And I do think these things will progress, as we saw progression throughout his college season as well. Towards the end of the year, we saw more stuff like this, where Mathurin was able to like snake into jail and create advantages that way. So I'm really hoping we see more of that as he continues to work at the NBA level. And I'm missing a clip. So we're just going to get it right now because I don't feel like re-recording this. Where is that clip? Here we go. I think a big thing for him is going to be to really refine this kind of floater game. Because the handle and flexibility limitations maybe mean that creating separation and getting all the way to the rim are going to be problems for Mathurin long term. But I think if he can really work on this floater game, this intermediate, the big man drops and he's just able to little blop in a floater like that. He's hit some touch pull-up jumpers in the mid-range, but that's really been his like big struggle area efficiency wise. Like 35%, 33% from like 3 to 16 feet. Not very good. He really doesn't have much of an intermediate game because those are the shots that usually aren't assisted, as we've seen. Like almost all of his field goals are assisted this year, which is totally fine. And like I want to make clear that what he's doing is very impressive. Like 27 usage, scoring like 20. What is he like 20 a game with this efficiency and that usage, no matter how it comes for a rookie, is so impressive. But I think there are real areas that are kind of getting overlooked for development and for concern. Because I think like, how does the perception change if Mathurin, has missed 5 more pull-up threes and some of these incredible contested finishes stop going in. And that's not to mention the defense, which is currently a lightly a work in progress, which is the case for the majority of rookies. But I think Mathurin is going to be super interesting to track because of all of this. There are some really interesting points to track for his development. Mostly, how does the pacing in pick and roll improve? How can he develop that floater intermediate game, get better at picking his spots as a passer, picking up his dribble, little skills like that. But what he has shown so far is super impressive, and the Pacers with him and Halliburton seem to have like a really promising duo there. So very cool.